All right, welcome back to therapy in the girls' room, my bathroom, where I am so vulnerable and have all these amazing thoughts. Um, Today's session, I really want to talk about honesty. It's come up because I had a conversation with a man the other day about dating other people. And I was like, is this too honest? Is this okay? Are we supposed to be honest? Like, I'm literally figuring this out as I go. And it's I think it's going well, so let's get into it. I picked up this electrolyte drink mix because I love hydration and I'm gonna try it. I had my favorite drink. Love it. And I'm feeling a little frisky. My friend's about to come over. We're gonna have girl talk. And so I need to therapize myself before. Okay. I guess we should start by defining honesty. So, first things first, honesty. Actually, let me look on my phone to be as accurate as possible. So, when I think of honesty, I think of just telling the truth. If someone asks you a question, you answer it truthfully. Honesty is also having a clear conscience so that you feel light also by whatever conversation you're having. Like, honesty is something that I think you should feel internally, like being truthful to yourself. Um, I think it's the first step of the action of honesty. And it's hard sometimes to be honest when you're dating because you don't want to show all your cards, but you also want to give it everything you can. Like, I in this stage of dating, I'm looking for something honest and true and real. And so I can't ask someone to be that and do that if I'm not going to do it. So I'm kind of still like throwing spaghetti out the walls, like, okay, I'll tell you this, I'll tell you that. And trying to figure out what part of my life needs to be honestly told. Like, if we're just meeting, I don't need to tell you everything. Like, oh, this is what I talk about in my mirror every other day, or even that I have this. Like, I'm not being dishonest by not telling you unless you ask me and I say, I don't do this and I don't talk to myself. Um, but let's see what the dictionary, we'll do Merriam Webster. Honesty, adherence to the facts, sincerity, fairness and straightforwardness of conduct. That's good. Fact. Okay. Feels a little like you could nitpick and say, well, it's not, whatever. Um, so adherence to fact, which to me means that omission doesn't take away um, an honest conversation. Like, if you just don't say something, doesn't mean you're not being honest. So during this dating stage, as you know, I'm open to dating multiple people at once. And I think that that's kind of normal to do, though it's not something I would necessarily choose to do. Like, that's not my first preference. I wish that it was how they say the 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s was. I mean, I don't know. But like the fairy tales or the movies from back then, where you just date one person and you figure it out. Maybe you get married, you have kids, whatever, but you're not doing like the whole numbers game and the roster, because the idea is that both parties are giving it everything that they have and that they're being honest. Um, in today's dating culture, I don't know that that is the assumption. I think it's the assumption that people are not going to be fully honest because, nobody wants to get hurt. Everybody's jaded, whatever. And so I am not someone who's just going to scream on top of the hill and say, I'm dating multiple people. Like when I go on a date, I'm like, hey, just so you know. Though I have been that person to say that about my abstinence when nobody asked me. I'm like, hey, just FYI, I'm not having sex. And it's just like, where did that come from? Um, so it wouldn't be like so left field for me to just randomly be honest. But yeah, I'm not typically thinking of doing that when I'm on a date like tomorrow. When I go on this date, I'm not going to volunteer probably, right? The information that I'm open to dating other people because that just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not even really actively dating other people right now. There's just other men, around. Like, maybe I went on a walk with this guy and went out with this guy and invite this guy. Like dating, Though I do think that if he did ask, I would be honest and say, I'm open. I'm not dating. Like, I might be seeing like it would actually be an interesting conversation because I'm like, let's define dating, which would probably like give him a little ick. Like, okay, now we're defining it, but I think it's important. Um, let's see what this electrolyte mix. I haven't eaten either, so I'm like, ooh, the girl is doing a lot. I've been home all weekend, so ooh, this is cute. Um, yeah, let's see what this does. I'm realizing that it feels really nice to just like let it out. Like I don't want to trauma dump on people or just be honest for the sake of me like clearing my head, but I have really started to notice the more I'm dating, the more that I'm, talking to certain people, that I've held on to a lot of stuff. And I don't have a therapist, so I'm talking to you. And the more I actually do open up, I feel good. It's like, wow, what a relief. It's not even something that I would consider to be weighing on my heart, in my head constantly, but it's definitely something, and there are things that I just haven't shared with people. It's like, who do you share certain things with? And then it just ends up piling up. And so the more I'm dating and the more I date, you know, eligible or men that I like, we'll say, their vulnerability leads me to be vulnerable. And I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. It opens me up, it makes me feel like I get to know you more and I get to understand why you do certain things, and I really appreciate it. But at the same time, you always have to be smart while you're dating. So you do want to stick to the facts because you don't want to like get caught up at some point and it's like, man, I shouldn't have shared that. Now you think of me differently. Um, and I've been in those. I feel like I've been in both situations where I don't say much, so you can't get close to me, and then it's kind of like, oh, well, I didn't even know how you felt because you never shared anything. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't share because I didn't know how you would receive it. I didn't want to get hurt. Just all these reasons. And then I've also been on the other end where I am a little more honest, and that person perceives me a different way now, and I'm like, what? But either way, both of those are good. It's like just weeding out people that don't work for you, which is what I'm doing. So that brings me to the conversation I had the other day with my favorite. I like this guy. But on paper, or, like why? So we have a conversation, and I actually ask him if he's still dating other people because a while ago, one of the many episodes prior, I mentioned that one day I just decided to say, I was like, I would just like be so hurt if I found out you were dating other people. And he said, oh, I'm for sure talking to other people. What? Like, I love his honesty. That's probably one of the things, that's definitely one of the things that like continues to draw me to him since date one, and essentially day one. He's always been pretty honest with me. And I really like that. Like, I really love being able to make the decision on who I like. based off of fact, and not, and these are things that he didn't even have to say. He could just be like, ha ha ha, because there are people that lie and there are people that just aren't that honest. And so I'm not really used to this, especially in this kind of like dating realm and romantic realm where he's not like holding back because he's afraid to like upset me or lose me. He's just like, this is what it is. And I like it. And I'm like, okay. Nothing he said has been like crazy anyway. So it's either he doesn't respect me at all or he's just super respectful and honest. Uh, which I think being honest is respect, but some people will say, no, you don't tell your main girl the truth. You lie to her because you want to keep her there. You tell your side piece the truth because she's your side piece. And so I was like, wow, that's crazy. It's like, yeah, but I'm not like, it's nothing like what we have. Okay. Which was fine because I actually wanted to have that conversation about dating other people. And I was like, it feels kind of taboo to do with someone you're dating. Like, is there an easy way, a seamless way to just be like, hey, and early too, because this is like a couple weeks in, like a month in, um, like, hey, I think we should date other people because it feels alarming. It feels like, what do you mean? Like, just do it. You don't have to tell me. But I also don't want to have a situation where it's down the line and it's like, oh, I've been dating other people this whole time and I chose someone else. Or, somebody just ghosts the other person and now they just end up with a whole relationship and it's like, you feel blindsided. So I am definitely a fan of honesty as a recipient because then, I choose to do what I want to do. And honestly, historically, I haven't always made the right decisions. That's in my 20s when I didn't have this. I didn't have intentionality. I was just like, none of it really matters because I don't like you anyway. But now I'm like, okay, I actually like, who I'm talking to. And I like this journey. It's very intriguing. It's very interesting. And the other day, I was like, are you still dating other people? And now it's been 2 months that we've been like kind of doing dating. Because when I talk to him, it's like we've been doing whatever we're doing. He's like, we're dating. I'm like, are we though? Because you really just kind of come over, which I actually really like. Like I call it, being in the 30s, I guess, or just me not really caring about going out these days. I'm like, we could do that, or we could just cook here and we could just hang out and, I can kick you out when I'm done with you. And I don't have to get all dressed up. Now, I still want to do that, but, we will, whatever. It's just nice to kind of have that like comfort in him. So we just continue to do what we want to do. But he said that he's not. He's like, no, I don't have time for that. And to his point and credit, I guess, like he really does have a lot to do. So he really doesn't have much time to entertain other women. And that would probably never be okay with me anyways, for him to entertain someone else, because I'm like, who's better for you than me? Regardless of where I'm at with you, you dating other women is never going to be okay for me. But I got to keep that to myself. Like, that's the honesty I feel like I'm going to keep to myself. I'm going to keep those thoughts internal because that's not fair. But anywho, he said he's not dating anyone else. And I said, okay, cool. Didn't say anything. He was like, are you? I said, yep. I actually said it almost without hesitation. I'm like, I am. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know that I'd really say I was dating other people, but it's like, no, it's okay. It's totally fine. I want to know. Like, I want to know all these things. I get it, And I was just like, as you should, because you're not capable of being what it is I'm looking for. And it's not even just that. It's like, until I feel like I am not missing certain things from one person, then I think it's fair to get them from others. Like, I don't want to. Like, I would love to just date him if he was like a complete package. but currently he's not. So I can date him for certain things. Like, I really like the way that he makes me feel. I really like how open he is with me. It makes me feel like I can be open. And then it's just opening the door to more joy, honesty with everyone. Because I'm like, you know what? It actually feels good to give you the information as well so you can make an educated decision on whether you want to deal with me. Because I don't want to, like, take off the veil at some point and you're like, I don't even know this woman. Like, I want to give you as much details as possible. So if we decide to solidify things, then it's for a reason. So I actually just got off the phone with the man that I'm going out with tomorrow. And, he's starting off pretty strong. As it relates to honesty, like, he has already told me about a couple of his past experiences, not in great detail on like the person, but just that they shared some common ick, I guess, or um thought about whatever he was doing at the time. And I like it. Like, I just it's not even an age thing. I just want to know. Like, I want to be able to learn you and for you to learn me without the pressure of it having to be anything, because you really don't know. We could be anything to each other. Just because maybe we're going on a date where we want to see what that looks like and what that feels like doesn't mean that it has to end there. And it's totally fine if it doesn't. Like, I have zero expectations during this journey. So I really just want to walk in like I'm meeting a friend, like I'm just being normal. And it's been harder in the past to just be a normal person and go on a date and just feel like this isn't a date. And the fact that I even have to at a moment be like, just act like it's not a date and be normal. But now I can know it's a date and still not have that expectation of whatever it was coming from, wherever it was coming from prior of it, meaning that I have to present a certain self, a certain side of me that's still me, but very calm and demure. And I'm actually not that person. I'm not really that calm, and I'm not maybe super demure. Like, I am in moments, but that's why it just wasn't working. I'm like, I'm going to be so myself that you're obviously going to fall in love because I am amazing. But man, honesty in dating, I think that is the cheat code. Like, just let it all out. And I think that we all have a lot of us have experienced that when it's with somebody that we're not super interested in, because we are super honest. It's like, listen, I'm going to be super honest with you. This is who I am. This is what I like, what I don't like. And that person just loves you. And they're like, oh my God, I just love you more. So it's like, just adopt those traits and habits that you had and that you have with people you're not super interested in, and then transfer it over to someone that maybe you are. And obviously, you run the risk of them not liking it, but it's better for everyone to find out now. And it's still successful to me. Like, giving all you have and being fully honest and getting rejected is still a success for me, because that means that you can get up, that you're putting your best self forward, your best foot forward, you're valuing yourself and your time, and you're crossing someone off the list. Like, now okay, that person's not for you because they can't accept you for who you are in totality. And better to find it out now than later when emotions are really involved. Like, let's just put it all on the table. First date, second date, third date. Like, just ask the questions and, shrug. Like, it is what it is. This is who I am. And I dig it. I think that this year, it's still January, it's the last day of January, though. I think this year is already off to a phenomenal start for me. I am experiencing different relationships and different joys, like all joy, but just better. Like, I just feel like everything's better. Everything's more fulfilling and more full because I feel better. I feel like a full person. I feel like I am fully forming and becoming a phenomenal woman. I really do. I have like a lot of love for myself, and who knows? Maybe it's these mirror moments where I am therapizing myself, but I watch these back when I'm editing and I just crack myself up. And I'm like, man, I am a character. But, it is what it is. I am who I am, and you have to love yourself. Like, that is just like the first thing to do, especially when you want to date. Obviously, it can be hard because you want to date, you want to find somebody, but I think that I'm able to find better people by being a better person. And, who knows? This is still very early stages. Like, it's going to be my first date tomorrow with someone. And I don't know technically if I'm doing any of this right with any man that I've brought to the girls' room. Um, but I am not going to be passive in life. I don't want to be. I want to take what's mine. I want to be aggressive and I want to be assertive and I want to make a decision and I want to stick to it. I don't want to be quick to quit. I don't want to quit at all. Um, of course, I want to know when to fold. You know, I got to have that discernment. It's like, okay, this is not a winning hand. Gonna put that down. Um, but it is kind of interesting because I am, from how I see it, a late bloomer in the dating space. And when I've talked to my other female friends, they're like, no, I'm this, and that. And I'm like, I have to remind them, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of doing all of this at a more delayed time. So I'm just playing catch up. And I like it because I'm smarter. Like, y'all were doing it in your 20s and you've been doing it, and great, you've got it down, but you're a little jaded and I can tell. And I'm not. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. So we'll see what happens. But, I'm excited and my friend is here. So we're going to have a little girl chat. And then I will see you back in the girls' room with an update from the date.